Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. Welcome to the show. Whether you're watching live on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. on the various channels that we have available to you, or if you're listening on a podcast later on, or if you're watching this same podcast later on in time. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because we have some pretty funny comments already. George Dismuke says, I'm here, dude.
Hey, George. Good evening.
And Caleb Pirtle says, welcome to CW, who is our author tonight, CW Hawes, the man who hears things go bump in the night wherever he goes. And Marjorie Daring says, me too, George, meaning she's here too.
Hi, Marjorie. Hi, Caleb.
Hi. Welcome to the show. And Paul Hollis says,
hey, Paul.
Hello, Joan and Rob. We're so glad that everyone is here. Oh, Joy Shelton York is here. Joy. She says, hi, Joan and Rob. And as long as we're talking, Richard Swint, being a very funny guy, says, who is this CW guy?
I don't know, but you're going to find out.
And Lizette Brody, author, says, hi, everyone. Hello.
Hi, Lizette.
Actually, she said hello. I said that. Joe Conchel says, hi, Rob.
Joe, how are you doing?
Whew. Well, wait a minute. I wanted to get to something.
Before you do that.
All right.
You were talking about saying hi to what people that are listening. I wanted to give a special hi and thank you for all of our listeners in Canada and Japan and the UK. You guys are coming up strong in the statistics here, and we really appreciate your support. So hope you enjoy and send us an email and let us know what's going on over in your neck of the woods.
Okay.
That's all.
Caleb Pearl said that CW never goes anywhere without hearing something go bump in the night.
Right.
And Joy is listening, Joy Shelton York. And I wanted to tell you that on January 26th, we'll be broadcasting at 7 o'clock?
7:30.
7:30. Okay.
It's a Thursday.
We'll have the show next Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we'll be broadcasting from our Tampa Bay Spirits Facebook and our Meet the Author Facebook page and our Meet the Author podcast YouTube page. And we're going to have, for the first time, we're going to have a show where people who have had true hauntings come on and talk about their hauntings, and also
true stories, not these made up campfire ones, or real ones.
Right. Oh, you want to show them the intro to that show?
We
as long as you mentioned it.
We can.
Hold on a second.
We're still here,
see
everybody.
what you think.
Don't worry. You got to find it first.
It's done.
We'll get it back here just a minute. There we go. Now we're back.
So
anyway,
Joy is going to be one of the people who's telling her story. Joe Conchel said that's going to be a fun night. Marjorie says that sounds very exciting. I can hardly wait. Yeah, and I wanted to say Joy is going to be on, and
Robin
Maidrich, who was just on. They both had told us their true ghost stories. The founders of Tampa Bay Spirits are going to be on with us. They'll be co-hosting with us. And if anybody else who's listening has a true ghost story that they'd like to share, we have plenty of time and plenty of room for you to share your experiences. So give us...
If you want to be on the show, give us a shout on carternovels@aol.com. on our email.
Yeah.
Let us know.
And let us know.
If you haven't had any real ones, don't let us know.
Paul Hollis says, wow, great intro. Thanks, Paul. It was fun making that.
Yeah,
the outro is cool too. So but you'll have to tune in to hear that.
Yeah.
Or see that.
Let's get our brand for Voice of Indy out here.
Okay.
We wanted to make sure everybody joins Voice of Indy podcast if you want to after this show, immediately after our show. Tonight's guest is Robert G. Williscroft. Host Beam Weeks and Stephen G's will be there and talking with him. And stay tuned at the end of this show, and there'll be detailed instructions on how to get over to their show. The other thing I wanted to mention was pre-order your copy of Siren Hunter. George Dismukes is taking pre-orders right now. There's the email. It's Mayan Art International, with international being abbreviated INTL at yahoo.com. Just get on the list if you want to pre-order that. It's coming out soon. And what else we got? Episode rewind this Saturday at 5:30 p.m. And it will be Pat Parker, another Texan. Patrick Parker, suspense and mystery author. And that was a real good episode as well. Next Wednesday, is a pre-recorded new episode on Wednesday. It's Jeffrey Marshall, suspense and political fiction author, and he wrote the book Squeeze Plays, which is a pretty good suspense political thriller. He's going to read some of that to us on the air. It was a nice visit we had with Jeffrey. I think that's all I've got. Do you have anything else? Without further ado, we need to bring CW on and introduce him to everybody. Is he our guest tonight? Yeah. Okay. Hey, CW.
I'm John.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you two doing?
Good. We're good. We're glad that you can be here.
Thank you. And I'm glad to be here. Really excited, actually. Very excited. And I can't wait to see that show next week, because that intro is dynamite. I just love that intro. That's fabulous. That's fabulous.
Thanks.
So whoever did that for you, or maybe they can make some trailers for my Pierce Mostyn series.
We did it.
I did it.
You did it yourselves. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to talk afterwards about.
That's why I said it was a lot of work, because we spent the morning on it.
Yeah, it took several hours, but it's all in the. It's what you put into it, I guess.
Yeah, great.
So
that's great.
Glad you enjoyed it. Tell us a little bit about you. Enough here.
Well, as far as personal life, I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and had a 1-year sojourn over in Pennsylvania, and then my dad got a job in Minnesota, and we moved to Minnesota, and I finished up high school in Minnesota and spent pretty much the rest of my adult life there in the Minneapolis area. And when my wife retired, we moved to beautiful, hot, humid Houston, Texas. And it is like polar opposites of Minneapolis. So
no kidding.
That is true.
Yeah, it's just pretty incredible. So it's really hard to describe. I mean, the weather is really like the tropics. The weather's good and bad every place. So that's that. Otherwise, it's a great area. I'm glad we're here. I'm glad to be a Texan now. And so there's that. Education-wise, I don't know if anybody's interested. My bachelor's degree was in history and political science, and I have a master's of divinity degree. So that means I guess I'm very divine.
You are divine.
I was just going to ask you that.
Just divine.
Yes, very divine.
Masterfully divine.
And so that's basically it. Personal life, and as far as as far as interests, I have loads of interests actually. I love airships. I love fountain pens. Matter of fact, I like writing instruments pretty much of any kind, and paper. And I love books. Reading's my favorite form of entertainment. So it's probably why I ended up wanting to write books. I've been a reader, I don't know, ever since ever. That was my mom's greatest gift to me, I'd have to say, is to make me a reader. So,
when did you first decide to write?
That's lost in the mists of time. Somewhere way back there. All I can say is that it's pretty much something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And, now there are a lot of writers who say, that's the same thing. And, they'll say how at age of 5, they wrote, the great American novel, and then it got lost in the rubbish or something. And, but the odd thing is I never wrote anything. My parents were actually not very supportive of anything creative. They were pretty concrete individuals, and they looked at, was it going to make money? And I think primarily because they both grew up at the tail end of the Depression and in the 40s, and so
my parents were the same way.
Yeah. And so, it was very practical. And even though my dad's parents were very artistic, and my mom herself had a very strong artistic bent, it wasn't something they encouraged in any of us, whether it was writing or whether it was painting or whether it was music, any of it. They never encouraged any of that. And so, what I ended up doing was telling myself stories. And I would spend hours swinging on the swing at my grandparents underneath the huge maple tree. And I would just tell myself all kinds of adventure stories and everything. It was just fabulous. It was a wonderful life. And so, and it wasn't really until high school that I actually started to write anything. And the first thing I wrote there was a play. I had gotten interested in drama, and I still love drama a lot. I wrote a play, and my drama class instructor had the class put it on for the high school over a lunch hour. So, it wasn't a huge thing, but hey, I have a publishing credit in 11th grade. So
there you go.
And then I wrote some poetry. The kids are always writing poetry. And my senior English teacher thought it was all crap. And I guess I have the last laugh because I've had hundreds upon hundreds of poems published in print zines and e-zines. And so, anyway.
Well, my favorite is that Michael Jordan's coach told him in high school that he couldn't play basketball.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Look at that.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's and it wasn't that I purposely went out and tried to thumb my nose at her, because quite honestly, in my household, my parents were, unfortunately, they were not supportive of us emotionally. They provided all the basics. There was a roof over the head, clothes, food on the table, but they were busy working. They had their own issues from growing up to deal with. And so they didn't have really any emotional support to give to the rest of us. And so really, I didn't write a whole lot because I didn't have the confidence, quite honestly, to do that. And it wasn't until I read a column in Writer's Digest magazine by Lawrence Block. And, the guy who wrote the Matthew Scudder series and all of that. Lawrence Block's a fabulous writer. And his books on writing are some of the most inspirational you can find. They're fabulous. But it was a column that he wrote on procrastination. And he said, procrastination is not the problem. It's the result of a problem. Identify the problem and you'll quit procrastinating. And for me, it was the fear of failure. I did not want to prove my parents right. So when finally I reached a point where I could say, well, their opinion doesn't matter, really. I'm an adult now. Their opinion doesn't matter. They don't even live near me. So I can be my own person. And once I made that decision, then I started writing. And, it took a while to get published, but I started writing. And that was back in 1989. I started doing that.
Excellent. Well, Marjorie Daring said, talent galore. Thank you, Marjorie.
Thank
And
you.
Joe Conjal says, hi, CW. You have so many different series and standalone stories. Of everything you've written, do you have one book or story that stands out and that you like best?
I knew I'd get that question, Joe, and it had to be from you. So, well, sometimes I ask myself that, when I look over everything, is there something here that I have that I like better than anything else? And I guess my answer is no. I like everything that I've written.
That's
Now,
good. That's a good thing.
It is a good thing, I think. I think it's a very good thing. Now, does that mean that the early stuff is on par with the later stuff? Probably not. But do I regret writing any of it? No. And do I enjoy rereading it? Well, actually, I don't reread it. I just started. In the first time in like 8 years, I've just started kind of rereading what I've written. And it was kind of a surprise. I said, geez, this stuff is making me laugh and cry. I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. It's nice when you get further away from it, you go back and read it and you go, oh my God, I wrote that.
Yeah.
That's a good way to feel, right? It's because you're so tough on yourself when you're going through all the rewrites and editing and everything,
Yeah, well, I don't do a lot of that. I don't. I follow the school of thought that get it right the first time, because I don't have time to do all those.
That's awesome.
We cannot do that.
Not that I don't, proofread or anything, but I'm, these people who do like 25 drafts of their stuff, I go, oh my gosh, I'd be so sick of that book, I'd never even want to see it again.
Yeah.
So,
it gets that way.
Yeah, it does. Yes. So
George has a question for you. Where is your favorite place to do a book signing?
Well, George, I have never done a book signing.
What?
Yes, I have never done one.
Oh my God.
Oh, you have to do one. They're really fun.
It's, I know people say that, and I know that I probably should.
We know of one coming up in June.
Texas.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And if I can make it there, if my back procedures do the trick, I'll love to be there. But I think part of the issue is, believe it or not, I'm an introvert and I am kind of shy. Believe it or not.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
I can believe that.
And what you're doing right now is different than actually being face to face with.
It is, absolutely.
Well, I can be face to face, but I'm terrible at a party. I just don't do small talk. It's like torture. I can be on a stage acting. I can be up in front of 1,000 people speaking. None of that's a problem. But when it gets very close, then it's like, oh my God, what do I say? And I get all
funny to say.
and I get all nervous and everything. So
they ask you all the questions you think they would ask you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's easy. And you just have a conversation with them. And
yeah, I know that. But
they start the conversation. That's the thing. You're thinking you have to start the conversation.
You don't.
Yeah. Well,
they are buying your book. They want your signature. Believe me.
And if they ask,
they start the question.
They'll ask you a question if they want to hear something. But otherwise, they'll say, "Ooh, thanks," and walk away.
Hey, well, that's good. That's good. So it's something that I would like to do, and I would, people do that. They, writers go down to their local library and they have a signing, or they go to a bookstore in the mall and they have a signing.
Yeah, we've done that.
And so I've thought about that, and it's like I said, oh gosh, that means I have to actually talk to people.
We have a bunch of comments here,
and then we're gonna have to break for
our word from our sponsors. But first, the comments. Lizette Brody says, "It's great when you enjoy rereading your own work. I can't do it. I'll want to edit everything." Try it, Lizette. I bet you would really enjoy it because you are an excellent writer.
Yes, Lizette is.
Joe Conjal, do you find it easier or harder to be a pantser while handwriting a book? Joe, are you telling us that at CW?
Yes, Joe's letting the cat out of the bag, doggone it. Yes, I am.
Oh, my Lord.
I am a hardcore handwriting individual. I love
it's
paper.
2023, right?
Yes, I know. I love paper. I love pens.
You said
I love writing and handwriting. I hate typing with a passion. And so the answer, though, is no. I don't find it any harder because it's just what I do. I write by hand, and it doesn't matter really if I'm like typing an email and I'm trying to compose it in my head, or I'm writing the next story or novel. It doesn't matter. It's just writing. And in fact, I actually really prefer handwriting to typing, because when I write it, if I want to, fix something, I just scribble it out and I rewrite it. And then there's arrows going here and there. And then, it's actually kind of becomes a game then, trying to fit it all together.
Creative.
To figure it out.
It's creative. It's almost like modern art.
In a sense, it is.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch
Arrows,
of comments.
all over the place.
Marjorie Daring, it looks like you've written an amazing number of books. I'm dazzled. How many are there?
I don't know. Amazon tells me I have over 40 titles on there, and I keep trying to count them, but yes, I have something like over 40 titles. There's a few duplicates, but like something will be in something else, but over 40 titles, and I like them all. I like all those things. They're wonderful to write, and I've even gotten some people who've written nice comments, nice reviews, which is really the best part. Caleb
says, most every writer I know is shy and somewhat of an introvert, so they hide among the characters in their books. There's a lot of truth to that.
Very true, yes.
That's because we can talk a lot on the radio doesn't mean.
Yeah, exactly.
And Lizette Brody says, thanks for the lovely words, Joan and CW.
Yes. Well,
Joyce Shelton, New York said, I couldn't survive without spell check.
Well, I use spell check. I just call it a dictionary. But I do spell check actually when I type it. See, that's when the spell check comes in. Shakespeare Revisited.
George DeSnook says Shakespeare Revisited. We're going to go to commercial, but
Okay.
we need to ask you, do you have headphones?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you think while we're on break, can you plug them in and see
we're
if you can
getting
get them to work?
feedback.
Are you? Okay. Yes, I can.
Okay.
So
Greg, we'll go to commercial and
we'll be right back.
we're having a word from our sponsor and we'll be right back, people. Go ahead.
Welcome to Magnolia Bluff, Texas, a small town in the heart of the Texas Hill Country near Burnett Reservoir. A town where everyone's business is discussed at the local coffee shop. A town where neighbors look out for each other. A town not insulated from murder and mayhem. Which begs these questions. Who is responsible for breaking into quaint Victorian homes? And how are poodles, ghosts, drug cartels, and a Ponzi scheme connected with a serial killer? Caroline McCluskey, the town's librarian, catalogs books using the Dewey Decimal System. When a black and white poodle puppy arrives unannounced, she calls him Dewey. Now, Caroline must catalog events to identify a serial killer in her town. Pick up your copy of the Dewey Decimal Dilemma, now available on Amazon.
They thought the siren was dead. In the novel Siren Song by author George Dismukes, James Harmon shot her twice. Several people saw her dead body sinking slowly into the abyss. But now, in Siren Song 2, evidence suggests that she may still be alive.
She killed that boatload of people. It was her! She's just getting started.
Angie, that's impossible.
The cold chill up my spine tells me it's not impossible. We've got to start all over again. And this time, do it right.
Siren Song 2. The story continues. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookseller websites. Get your copy today.
People who like to read want to get their hands on books by Becca Jones.
Becca Jones, the breakthrough author who tells it like it is. It takes courage to tell a story when it reveals dark secrets. Becca Jones delves deep into the hidden world of sexual abuse. She tells what happened and also tells how she survived.
Meant to Be is much more than just entertaining. Meant to Be gives you a point of reference, hope to cling to, and becomes a guide for survival if you have suffered the same thing. Meant to Be, Becca Jones, a must-have.
Meant to Be is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookseller websites.
And we're back.
We are back.
All right.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yeah.
We can hear you
Okay,
Can you hear
great.
me? Hey, we're good.
Yes.
We're
We don't
good.
have an echo anymore. That's great.
Let me catch up on some of these comments here. Lizette Brody says, I can't imagine writing one page by hand. That's amazing. Never mind a whole book, right?
Well, I
wanted
don't
to
know.
ask
That's how
you-
they used to do it.
I know when they had to.
Well,
they used to
yeah.
wash clothes on rocks and streams.
Yeah,
I
well,
can't
that's
imagine
true.
doing that either.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
you
but
got
this
a point there.
This works for you.
But
And
I
that
don't-
is
This works
awesome.
for me. Yeah.
That
I
is
wanted
awesome.
to know though, do you write like in a loose leaf binder or do you write on a legal pad or, you know?
I write on either like loose paper, like
Loose paper.
printer paper.
Okay.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
do sometimes use legal pads,
Yeah.
and
But your books are actually in print, right?
yes, they are.
Okay, good, good.
I have not taken the time to produce any codices. A codex is a whole nother issue. I don't want to get into, well, actually, I would like to get into handbook binding, but I don't want to do it to put my books out there.
There you go.
Just because it would be an awesome thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have to admit that I do handwrite parts of our book.
Yeah.
I do. I do write things down by hand and then put them on the computer.
Yeah. Well, see, my hero, I also have Siri, yes. Well, actually,
he means about spelling.
Well, you're right, Joy, because the computer's right there. I can ask her anytime I need something, so I do that. So, hey, good.
You're welcome, Becca.
Yeah, Becca just thanked us for posting her commercial.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, Lizette Brody said, I can't imagine how all of those brilliant classics were written. Yeah, and that brings us to something else too, as I know POV is a big thing right now, but when you think about things like Moby Dick, which, has been pretty well read through the years.
Yeah, a few.
And that was in third person and first person, which is a big no-no right now. So that's just a huge, hotly debated subject point of view.
Yeah, what point of view is, but I think ultimately, regardless of all the rules, you have to do what works for the story.
I'm sorry, there's some pretty funny
I'm sure there are some pretty funny ones.
Marjorie Daring said, the only thing that would impress me more is if you chipped your novels
on stone.
No, that's an upgrade, though.
No, but seriously, it is so impressive that you do that. And that you have written so many books. I mean,
well,
kudos
I
to
guess it's just what I do. I love the physical act of writing, and so it helps me, I guess, be more creative.
And you said you love paper and you love writing instruments, so that's why
I prefer reading, paperback books myself. I like to have
or a hard copy.
I like to be able to open it up and look at the pages and stick my bookmarker in there
and smell the book.
Yeah.
Yes, smell the book.
Throw it when the hero gets killed or something. I'll throw it against the wall.
Exactly.
Caleb said, Lizette, nobody was in a hurry when they wrote those classics. Now it's all a race to the end. Boy, that's the
truth. But that, I don't like disagreeing with Caleb, but I am going to disagree on this one point because my favorite Victorian author, Anthony Trollope, he's also like my mentor. All right. Every writer.
That's a ghost story here.
Well, I wish he would visit me. I wish. I would love to spend an hour talking with Anthony. In his autobiography, he lays out his whole life of writing, also personal life too, but his whole life of writing. And every writer really needs to read that because he has so much information about how to do writing. But Trollope in his day was referred to at times as, the mechanical writer, because he was very prolific. And what he did is he set aside 3 hours every day for writing. That was it, 3 hours, because he worked a full-time job. So he set aside 3 hours of the day. The first half reviewed what he wrote the previous day. The next 2.5 hours, he took his pocket watch, put it on the desk, took his dip pen, and wrote one page every 15 minutes, 250 words to the page. When he was done in the 2.5 hours, he had 10 pages, 2,500 words, and the only time he did any kind of revision was when he looked at it the half hour the next day. And that was it. And then he just sent him into the publisher.
To be clear, you do use a ballpoint pen.
Sometimes.
No ballpoint pens. I use a fountain pen or a pencil. I love it.
Interesting.
But you're not using a dip pen.
I do once in a while use a dip pen. Yes.
Wow.
That's cool.
I love dip pens, actually. So
That's crazy.
CW Caleb Pearl. CW writes his horror novels on tombstones.
yeah, they're kind of slow coming as a result. So that's
And George Dismuke says, amazing. I haven't written anything by hand since bathroom. Years ago.
Yes, well, there you go. I know I'm the odd one. So
Lizette Brody, I can't write by hand because it will cramp up and because I type 100 words per minute. I don't even have to think. Wow.
Hey, Lizette, if I could do what you do, I would be typing. But I'm lucky.
Kidding.
I'm lucky if I can get 30 words a minute.
Yeah.
And then my hands cramp up when I'm typing. So
here's a good question too. All right, from Richard Swint. CW, how much does your background in divinity enter into your writing?
Oh, thanks, Richard.
Thanks a lot, Richard.
I would say it really affects all of my writing. Because I see everything in the world kind of through a theological or a philosophical lens. And so religion and philosophy, along with art, along with food, along with music, is in pretty much all of my books at some point. And some are more, heavily weighted that way than some others. I would say probably the Rocheport Saga is the heaviest when it comes to philosophy because I'm world building in that series. And so, there's political philosophy, there's religious philosophy, there's sociology, there's all kinds of stuff at play there. And so that's the heaviest.
Well, Joe Conjal says, I bet you're glad I mentioned that handwriting thing, huh?
Yeah, right.
Well, I think we better get into some of your books. Actually,
yeah.
Would you like to do your reading now? And let me see.
Yeah, I can do the reading now.
Death Makes a House Call?
Death Makes a House Call. I'm going to do a reading from that. And notice the little quote by Richard Schwint there on the cover.
Okay, what does it say? Because my eyes
you
are
can't see that. It says one of the best contemporary American mystery series.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard.
That sounds good.
That's a good quote.
And it's a great quote. And quite honestly, I love Tina and Harry. They were my first children. And I first conceived of them. Well, actually, they sort of popped into my head way back in the early 80s. And they've been with me ever since. And I just love them. They're very real to me.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm going to read is just a brief scene from Death Makes a House Call. Preceding what I'm reading, basically, Tina turns down Dr. Merkman's request to take the case, and Harry thinks she's being a butt about the whole thing. And so he decides he's going to take it. They're brothers and sister, Tina and Harry. So there's a lot of sibling rivalry and wisecracks to each other and all that in the books. I love writing them. They're loads of fun. And so Harry decides he's going to take Merkman's case because he thinks Merkman needs help, so, and they're private investigators. So that's what he's going to do. So Harry makes an appointment to meet Merkman at his house and go over the details and exactly how they're going to work on trying to solve Merkman's problem. So This is where we're at. The sun was sitting low in the western sky and would be gone in another hour. Merkman's place was a large 3-story, quasi-prairie-style home that flowed up the hillside it was built on. There were lots of older trees in the neighborhood, providing plenty of shade and an air of seclusion. The latter, I assume, being a prized commodity for many in Merkman's income bracket. I got out of my car, noting the 2 cyclists who whizzed by on a race to somewhere, and walked up the driveway to the front door. The neighborhood was fairly quiet, and I wasn't at all surprised not many were out, given the heat and the evening mosquitoes. My right index finger pressed the doorbell, while my left hand slapped at one of those mosquitoes. When there was no response, I pressed the button again. A look at my watch told me we were already a minute late for our meeting. A big Mercedes was in the drive, Merkman's car. So where was he? In the shower, perhaps? From the corner of my eye, I saw a walker on the other side of the street and knocked on the door in case the doorbell wasn't working. When the person was out of sight, I looked up and down the street and over at the neighbors. No one was visible, so I took a casual stroll around the side of the house. Nothing seemed out of place. The windows were all intact. That was a good sign. When I reached the backyard, I paused and listened. No sound came from over the tallish hedge separating Merkman's yard from those of either neighbor. Probably they were inside enjoying the comforts of air conditioning instead of God's tropical mugginess. I tried the back door. It was pulled to, but not latched. Tingles started running through my body, and I felt my skin go to goosebumps. A push, and the door swung open on silent hinges. I took my revolver from my ankle holster and slipped it between my waistband and shirt. All was quiet, and the house appeared to be empty. But as we all know, appearances can be, and often are, deceiving. A quick search revealed no one on the main floor, and nothing appeared out of order. Up the stairs I crept to the second level, and that's when I heard a sound. I stopped breathing and focused. Someone, or something, was in one of the rooms down the hall. The floor was carpeted, so unless a floorboard was loose, my approach would be soundless. I crept past a pair of rooms on either side of the hall. The doors were closed. There was another pair of doors at the end of the hall, and the one on my right was partially open. A light was on, and I heard what sounded like someone softly crying. With revolver in hand, I pushed open the door. Lying on the bed was Dr. Merkman. Sitting on the bed next to him was a woman. In her hand, a gun. Put the gun down nice and slow. She jumped up, and I dropped to the floor. There was an explosion, flash of fire, and bits of sheetrock in the air. I pulled the trigger on my snub-nose .38. The woman did a pirouette to her right, the gun dropping to the bed, and she to the floor. Out of my pocket came my phone, and I made the call to 911.
Wow. Excellent.
Really good.
Really good.
So
Whoa.
we need to take a break.
Okay.
And then when we come back, we'll have our book giveaway, and we'll talk about where to reach CW and also talk about some of his books.
That would be good.
Yes, I think so.
Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
Madison Jackson loved being a cop. A young girl is raped and murdered near Burnett Reservoir. Madison vows to get justice for the child. Madison travels to the heart of Mexican cartel country. She is kidnapped, tortured. Will Madison ever make it home? Justice by Kelly Marshall, only at Amazon.com.
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Behold, this one about a man, a woman, a black jaguar, and an ancient Maya legend. Two Faces of the Jaguar is a novel by George Dismukes that will take you deep into the jungle and capture your imagination until the last word. Two Faces of the Jaguar is book one of a trilogy. Two Faces of the Jaguar, where only the adventurous dare to read.
Two Faces of the Jaguar, The Lost City, and The Jaguar's Quest are available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookseller websites. Two Faces of the Jaguar, the book people are talking about. Get your copy today.
Welcome back. We have quite a few comments. Let me just bring up some of them. Richard Swin said it is only true as to what he said about your book. And Lizette Brody said great characters in the Justinia Wright series.
Thanks.
And Robin Maidrich said character families are sometimes more real than our families in life. Well, there are babies, that's why.
Yeah, they are.
And then she said, great reading, nice. And Joy Shelton York also said, great read.
Thanks.
And Robin and Joy are the two that will be on our other show with real ghost stories.
Oh, super.
And I'm sorry, Shabir Doji.
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 Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I murdered your name.
Yeah.
Chris, where do you get the ideas for your books?
Well, they're actually, that's the easiest part. They're everywhere. And, you know, you can see something, you can see a person, you can see a building, you can see a situation playing out. And all you have to do is start asking yourself, well, what if? How did that happen? And you just play that game, and pretty soon you have a story idea. Now, sometimes things just pop into my head. I'll just get a character popping in. Maybe it's a sentence or a scene. The Rocheport Saga started with one sentence. Today, I killed a man and a woman. That just popped into my head, that sentence. Maybe I was having a bad day at work. I don't know. But that sentence just popped into my head. And I said, wow, that is really good. I wrote it down.
Hook.
Huh?
It's a good hook.
Yeah. And so I wrote it down, and then I just started thinking about it. And pretty soon I had a paragraph, and then I had a page, and then I said, hey, who's telling this story?
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Arthur was created.
Excellent.
So.
Excellent. Well, let me tell y'all where you can reach CW. See, we've lived in the South so long now.
Yeah.
Just happens. All right. His website is cwhawes.com, and I'm going to spell Hawes. I think you all know how to write CW. It's HAWES. All right. His Facebook is CW-Hawes1. You can find him on Twitter at CW_Hawes. His email is cwhawes@cwhawes.com. All right, which brings us to the book giveaway. Maybe should we bring up the covers of the books first?
Can I just say that, you know, Death Makes a House Call is on 99 cents special because of the show here.
Okay,
I haven't advertised it as being 99 cents. So everybody who's watching the show
or listening
through this weekend, it will be 99 cents.
Just mention that you're watching, listening. Death Makes a House Call.
Yep.
That's the one
you
you
can
just
get it
read.
off of Amazon, 99 cents.
Awesome. Okay, Festival of Death is one of the books that you'll be giving away.
Yes.
And that is
the first book in the Justinia Wright series.
Excellent.
Yep. And it's one of my favorites because it was my first.
And that'll be in the giveaway. And also Nightmare in Agate Bay, which
is the
those
first.
of you that are listening, I wish you could see this cover because I really, really love it.
Yeah, it's a great cover. I love that cover. It's Nightmare in Agate Bay is the first book in the Pierce Mostyn Paranormal Investigations series, which is cosmic horror.
Awesome. And then there's Morning Star.
Morning Star. That's Morning Star.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got a bubble in front of it, but
I know they all had a bubble in front of them.
Yeah, but this has got the email there.
Oh,
the email bubble.
The email bubble. The Morning Star is the first book in the Rocheport Saga, which is a 7-book series and technically counting. And the manuscript is over 2,200 pages long. So I still have a lot of stuff to add to it if I decide to. But
excellent.
Here's the book giveaway. The first 3 people to email cwhawes@cwhawes.com will win an ebook copies of Festival of Death, Nightmare at Agate Bay, and Morning Star.
Yes.
Each one of those.
And
3 people will get each one of those.
And if you could put meet the author in the subject line so I know you aren't spam, that would help. Doggone spam.
So you're not giving ebooks away to spammers.
That's right. Doggone spam.
It would definitely help. Okay, I'm going to leave your email up there so that people can go ahead and start typing away to get all 3 of these books. Let me see. We have some more.
Nassim.
Oh, your sister-in-law, Nassim.
Yes. Nassim.
I'll put it up.
Yeah, because the email's in the banner.
The email's in the banner. Oh, Brother Chris, I want to hear more of that story. You were doing so well in this podcast. I'm his sister-in-law. He is.
Yeah.
Nassim.
Yeah, we can talk more, Nassim. So
Lizette said she'll have to tweet that out. Yeah, definitely. Okay.
So let's talk about some of your books.
Some of the books. All right. Yeah. Well,
talk about.
Well, my first series was that I really started working on was actually the Rocheport Saga. And like I said, that started with 1 sentence and it proliferated into 2,200 handwritten pages, well, over 2,200 handwritten pages. And so not all of that was good.
What was that book?
The Morning Star is the first one in the Rocheport Saga.
The Morning Star.
Yeah, the Morning Star.
So that's going to be one of the giveaways.
That's one of the giveaways. And so it's basically, it's post-apocalyptic. It's cozy catastrophe post-apocalyptic. And that basically means that the people who survive the disaster are bent on trying to recreate a better world.
Okay.
Cozy catastrophes are ultimately utopian in their view. If you ever read The Day of the Triffids, not the movie, but the book, it's it was one of the first cozy catastrophes, and it's very optimistic. And Earth Abides, it was an American one in the late 40s, and it too is focusing on trying to rebuild society. So it's my favorite post-apocalyptic subgenre, and so there you have that. And then probably my favorite series of all is Justinia Wright, because she and Harry were my first babies. But they're traditional mysteries. And, you know, so if you like the Agatha Christie, the Niall Marsh, Rex Stout, S.S. Van Dyne kind of mystery, even like Raymond Chandler, for example, not that I write on his level, but I wish I did. But Chandler was kind of softer, hard-boiled, and so the Justinia Wright books are somewhat edgy. They're not cozies per se, but they are traditional mysteries in that. So they're kind of slow burn, and then at the end they really get exciting. So and then the one probably I have the most fun with, because it's really out there, is the Pierce Mostyn Paranormal Investigations series. And that basically came about because I was watching reruns of the X-Files. And I said, and I like the Cthulhu mythos of Lovecraft. And so I said, what if you had an X-Files type format, only they were dealing with the Cthulhu mythos? And so that's how that came about. And so it's great fun. So I enjoy writing those a lot. And then of course there's the hottest thing right now is Magnolia Bluff. And yes, Death Wears a Crimson Hat. And I know you've had, you've talked, you've had us all on the underground authors, and thank you.
In 2 weeks, we're having the
more.
Right.
Yes.
Season 2.
All right. Season 2.
It's going to be Linda Prittle and Cindy Davis.
Yeah. Yes. Great. All right. Magnolia Bluff is been a really fun endeavor because of the fact that it's a group project, and 9 authors are writing this series, and the only thing holding it together is really the town of Magnolia Bluff. And so each one of us have our own core group of characters. We can use other people's characters too, but we each have our core group of characters, and we each have our favorite places within the town of Magnolia Bluff. And so it's been last year was a wonderful, wonderful adventure. And so this year we're adding 2 new writers to the group and to the series, and that's Joe Conjal and K.D. McNiven, and they will be contributing to the ongoing mythos of Magnolia Bluff. And then now we haven't done anything formal really for 2024. We haven't really talked about it, but I know that there were some secret backroom negotiations going on, those cigar fumed back rooms, and a lot of talk back and forth. And I am really excited to announce that you, Robin Joan, are going to lead off 2024 in Magnolia Bluff. And so it will be very exciting to see your contribution. And I am kind of the de facto project manager, but I really have a soft stick. So, don't worry.
That's good.
So,
we consider it an honor because we've read several of the books already
A lot of them.
in the series, and they're amazing. They really are.
And we've fallen in love with Magnolia.
We want to move
Bluff.
to Magnolia Bluff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of murders.
It's dangerous.
You just got to watch your back. That's all.
Yeah.
But Magnolia Bluff has been a really exciting and fun project, something really, really different. And so I think I can say, and maybe I shouldn't say, but I'm going to say that for the authors who have contributed, now I haven't read every author's 9 authors' books. I can't say that. But looking at the ones where I have read and looking at what they produced for Magnolia Bluff, I would say hands down what they produced for the Magnolia Bluff series was really at their top of the game. And that was exciting to see that. And I don't know. I'm not speaking for myself. I'm speaking for the other 8.
No pressure there. Thanks.
No, thank you.
But I know that there's something about that group dynamic. And so, I think you guys will find it exciting, and I think it'll bring out the best. So
I'm really excited too.
Yeah, it's good.
It'll be fun. We're really blessed that we were asked, and we'll do our best.
Considered an honor.
Well, it's welcome aboard, and we're glad to have you.
And get to work, right?
Yeah. Let's get some comments in here. Richard Swin says, Bill Arthur is one of the great characters in American literature.
American lit. Oh,
by that.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Richard. I love Bill Arthur, quite honestly. He wasn't my first child, but I do love Bill Arthur. He's he has a very tough job. He's a nice guy who has to do a lot of bad things.
That's hard, but somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it.
Robin Maidrich says, Cozy Catastrophe is a perfect name. I actually hadn't heard that term before.
Yeah,
neither had I. But
it is Cozy Catastrophe. Originally, it was a pejorative term because
anything cozy was a pejorative term.
Well, and
I
this
like
was
cozy things. So.
Yeah, well, it was really popular over in Britain. And, back in the heyday of the 50s when the Labor Party was in full swing. And so it was really viewed as, oh, that's just a bunch of those, what do the Brits call the toffs, a bunch of toffs who are just trying to, make it after the Big Bang. And, it really isn't that, though. I mean, it's more than that. It's really about rebuilding the world and rebuilding a better world. Who doesn't want that?
Everybody wants that.
Yeah, exactly.
Caleb says, Linda says, well done, CW. She's proud of you.
Thank you.
And then Lizette Brody says, Magnolia Bluff is really exceptional. I have loved all 3 books that I've read. Richard's, Caleb, and of course CW's. Planning to read more. That's good to know.
Thank you.
Let's see. Robin Majors said, exciting news, Robin Joan. It is exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Excited.
Very
and
exciting.
Joy Shelton New York says, I will check them out. A great concept and collaboration. It is. Rob and I have loved it since the get-go. When they first started talking about it, we were so excited. And it's been wonderful. Yeah. We haven't asked this question. It's from Joe Conjal. What genre haven't you written? But you would like to.
That's a good question, Joe. Let's see. What haven't I written? Well, I'm not ever going to write romance. That's not my cup of tea. That's for sure. And back in the early 80s, I read like dozens. I worked in the library back then, so I got them for free. I read dozens upon dozens upon dozens of category romances. And after that torture, I said, my God, I don't know who can stand to read this stuff. So,
it's only like one of the best-selling genres of all time. But okay.
It's been the top for half a century. So, but I can't stand this stuff. So no, I won't ever write that.
Tell us how you really feel, though.
Not now. But I would really like to write more ghost stories. I've written one.
Yes.
I would really like to write more ghost stories. I would love to give Weird West a try. Weird Westerns a try.
That would be fun.
I think it would be fun.
I love Westerns.
Yeah, I would love to give that a try. And I've written very little of it, but I would actually like to write more science fiction.
Good. Joe Conjal says, I've read all the Magnolia Bluff books, and they are all fantastic. They are.
I can't wait to read yours, Joe.
They are.
Yep. Yeah, I know. I can't wait to read yours, Joe. And Chris Chrisman said, oh, shoot, my alarm did not go off. I'm late.
Hi, Chris.
Hello, Rob and Joan, and hi, CW.
Hey,
and
Chris.
I don't know, Chris, if you've heard, but we've been asked to write the first book of the third series of Magnolia Bluff. And we said, yes.
January 2022.
All
2024.
Right.
Can you
So-
2024. It'll be here before you know it.
Where's this time going?
It will be here.
That's
It
insane.
will be here. So
We remember when 1984 was way off in the future, and
I can
there's a
remember
book called
reading.
1984,
I
and it's
can
like,
remember
oh, that's a
reading
long
that.
way.
it's
Nothing's
a
gonna
long way away. Yes,
I remember reading 1984, sitting there in school and thinking,
happen.
geez,
Way off in the future.
what is life going to be like then? And then I remember going and then I remember reading Arthur C. Clarke's 2001, and I thought,
yes.
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
if I'll
that's
even be
right.
alive.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So,
So here we are, 2024.
here we are, and
It's
it's all
just-
ancient history.
Don't trust
Right.
anyone
Don't
over
trust
30.
30.
I know.
Of course,
That-
we're almost ancient
I
history.
thought everybody was over 30 now.
Oh yeah, I think so too. This is funny. Caleb Pirtle says,
It's
"My
cozy
love is
calamity."
cozy calamity." Well, Joe Conjal said, "Where are the flying cars?"
Yes. Where are those flying cars?
They're talking about them.
Yeah, I used to watch the Jetsons every now and then, and oh man, I wanted a flying car.
We
You
saw
know the doorbell on Meet the Jetsons. It was part of their song, actually. Bum 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 bum. That's the notification on my phone.
I saw a film clip the other day that some company was doing where they were Japanese, or I'm not sure whether it was German or Japanese or wherever it was. It wasn't in the United States. There's this car, and they've got it. It looked just like a regular,
A real car.
a regular Toyota or something,
A real car.
All of a sudden, it was going straight up, and floating,
And then flying away.
and then floating very slowly forward, but you couldn't see anything underneath it. You couldn't see any fans or anything like that.
You could see tires in the undercarriage, but
Turned out it was a balloon.
a balloon.
Yeah, it fooled everybody. It was crazy. It looked just like a car. I mean, it was shiny. It had this.
And the owner of
finish.
the company is standing there saying, yes, we are selling these cars all over the world. People are buying them all over the world. And he's talking about it like it's a real car.
It's like,
And then he
my
goes,
gosh.
they use them for
Yeah.
advertising. They're balloons. And
Yeah.
we're like,
They're balloons. Yes.
that makes
Sheesh.
sense.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah.
It's great.
And Chris Chrisman wants a jetpack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joyce Shelton York said the Jetsons. Yeah, the Jetsons. They were the best, man.
Weren't they?
So
What do you got coming up?
Boy.
Do you have anything on the drawing board at the moment?
I always have stuff on the drawing board. Quite honestly, one of my favorite pulp authors, H. Bedford Jones. He had 4 typewriters in his workspace, in his study, and when he got stumped on one, he just moved over to the next typewriter and started working on the next story.
There you go.
And so I said, that is
Brilliant.
great. That's a wonderful model. So I have more than 4, because that's the advantage of doing it by hand on paper. So
you don't have to buy a lot of typewriters.
I don't have to buy a lot of computers or anything. So yes, I have a Pierce Mostyn that is written, and I'm just debating on whether or not I want to bring it out standard or if I want to try a Kickstarter. So I have a Pierce Mostyn. I have half a dozen Justinia Wright mysteries, all half baked in the oven.
Wow.
And I have a new I have 2 occult detectives that I'm floating around, and one, I have a story written and I'm halfway through another story. That one features a ghost who is the detective. And then the other is a brother and sister team who investigate the paranormal, the occult. So I have, those in the kind of up on the front of the stove. And then on the back of the stove, well, we won't go there because there's so many of them. But I have a bunch of ideas. I have a weird Western idea that I've been toying with, trying to come up with some ideas to do that. And so,
wow,
lots of stuff.
So you got a lot going on, right?
So well, I'm retired. What else is there to do?
We're busier in retirement than we ever were.
Yeah, exactly. But it's all fun. Well, for me, I say it's 90% fun.
Yeah.
So
it is. Okay. Life still happens, though.
Life happens, unfortunately. Yeah.
Joe Conjal says 4 legal pads.
Side by side. There you go, Joe.
Except he has more like 10 or 12.
I know we're running kind of late, but I would like to run through your covers because your covers are just awesome. I mean, sure. I think I like every one of them. And I'm sorry, the folks that are just listening to the podcast can't see these, but you have ancient history.
Yeah.
Fun. Of course, we've already looked at Death Wears a Crimson Hat. We've already looked at Festival of Death,
which has a very film noir kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Color. It's really great.
In the Shadow of the Mountains
of Madness.
Mountains of Madness. That's a long title too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And there's that creature that's on the Nightmare. That's the same creature, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then we've got Morning Star. We already looked at that one. We looked at Nightmare. There's the creature. And then this one I'm kind of partial to.
Yeah, he's a retired air traffic controller, folks. So he put a plane in the cover and he's
there you go. All right.
But it says Rand Hart and the Pajama
Putsch. Yes.
Okay.
The Pajama Putsch actually was a real event in Brazil in the 30s. And so I just fictionalized it for this book. Cool. And even included under a fictional name, but included a famous Brazilian silent film star.
And what is a Pajama Putsch?
The Pajama Putsch was they were the integralist party in Brazil, which had kind of neo-fascist, neo-Nazi leanings. Wanted to overthrow the Brazilian government because the Brazilian government had promised them to be part of the government, but then reneged on that. And so
couldn't have thought of a better name
than Pajama.
Well, it's called the pajama putsch because, well, the putsch part was because of Adolf Hitler's, attempted coup and in Bavaria, but the pajama part was because it happened at night.
Oh, okay.
It happened at night, and they tried storming the president's palace at night, and so they lost, and so they were, it's called the pajama putsch because it happened at night.
Cool.
Then we have a blimp, which I like.
It's a rigid airship. It's not a blimp.
C.W. Hawes, Take to the Sky. I'm sorry, it's rigid. I certainly, being married to a air traffic controller, have seen a lot of them, and we've even seen them going down the highway as the pilots were going from point A to point B, to tell you the truth. And C.W. Hawes, To Right or Wrong.
To Right or Wrong, yes.
That looks good,
Justinia,
too.
Wright.
Actually, Joy, if you're still here, it reminds me of you and your cousin.
Yeah, right.
Her cousin would play chess with, chess or checkers with the inmates in the jail because her father was the sheriff. And I'm quite sure her father did not know that was going on.
No, didn't know that was going on.
Okay, and that was Death Makes a House Call. And then the feeder.
Okay,
that's when this is the same creature, right?
It's
it
right.
looks very ominous here in the feeder.
And the feeder is not available in stores. You can only get that by signing up for my mailing list, which I believe you put it down below at least on the YouTube page.
It'll be on the YouTube page.
Yeah, the link to sign up for my mailing list.
Sign up for this mailing list, for sure.
And there's the other one that you can get for signing up for the other mailing list. Vampire House is a bunch of Justinia Wright stories. It does include one of my favorite Justinia Wright stories, Vampire House.
Awesome.
And that one came about because I learned there's such a thing as vampire lifestylers.
Oh, yeah.
I never knew that.
Oh, yeah.
But and I said, oh my gosh.
Never been to New Orleans much, have you?
No, I haven't. So my grandmother was born there, but I've never been there. But and when I learned that, I said, oh my gosh, I got to write a book.
Could you tell us the address to both of your mailing lists real quick?
They're kind of long. So
they're kind of long. Right. Yeah. So I don't have them memorized, unfortunately. But if you want to, you can always email me if you can't find them, and I can direct you there.
Yeah.
If you want to get on, I'd love to have you on the mailing list.
So let's see. Chris Chrisman says retirement is for the birds.
Yeah, we're birds.
And he also says, I love the H.P. Lovecraft touch. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
and Lizette Brody goes, how have I never seen Take to the Sky before?
I don't know.
She's still here. Yeah, Joy, that kind of reminded me of your book. What happened in your book, not the cover of your book. Because the cover of her book is a, bloody shoe, because it's the bloody shoe affair. Joe Conjal said, you have a creative mind, fun. Oh, Joyce said, you have a creative mind, fun show. Joe Conjal said, are all of your covers done by the same artist? We know the answer to that. No.
No, they aren't. An indie author who is no longer writing, Ben Willoughby, did the Pierce Mostyn series covers and did Ancient History. The Rocheport Saga was all done by my wife, and the Justinia Wright covers were all done by my wife, except for the Vampire House cover. That was done by Crispian Thoroughborn, who does the Magnolia Bluff covers. And so those are my cover artists.
Cast of thousands.
Casts of thousands.
Just like the New York Times bestsellers.
That said she never saw that cover ever. Yeah, and it's a good cover.
You've seen it first here.
Yeah.
There you go.
And let's see, how far have we gone over?
Oh my goodness.
21 minutes.
Didn't see
Oh,
That's okay.
That's all right.
No problem. Any other advice or anything you have for other authors that you might want to bestow?
yeah, I knew you were going to ask that. So I've been racking my brain and thinking about what kind of an answer would I give for that. And I guess the first thing I would say is, I think writing is easy. Now, I know there are those who disagree with me, but I think writing is easy. I think the business part is horribly hard. Because most of us aren't business people who are authors, or creative types even. We're not business people. We don't think that way. So it's hard work. And I think that's where many authors get discouraged. They have huge dreams of fabulous success, that their first book is going to put, Rowling and King and Patterson all to shame. And optimism is a wonderful thing. I don't get me wrong. Optimism is needed, but that ain't going to happen.
Especially when you get your first book in your hand, right?
That's
that
wonderful.
First hard copy that you get.
Do it just for that.
So I would say, the first thing really is, don't give up if you don't see results that you think you should be getting, because they may come down the road. It may just require some work. It may not be tomorrow. It may be 10 years from now.
It may look different than what you expect.
And it may look very different than what you expect. And so, but the key is don't give up. I've seen too many good writers give up. And as a reader, I say, oh, no, they stopped writing. No, it's because everybody has an audience. And you may not see it right away, and you may see it right away, but everybody has an audience. It may not be a big audience for what you're writing now. But if you write something else, you might end up with a huge audience.
Yeah.
But
you never know.
But you never know. And
but
so
write because you love to write.
Write because you love to write. And if you don't love to write, well then, yes, go find something else that floats your boat. And so I think that, you have to write, and you need to treat it as a business. Don't write when you feel like it. I mean, you need to really write to a schedule, and because it is a job in that sense. And even write when you don't feel like it. But in the end, you will have good stuff, and you will have an audience, because you aren't the only one who's going to like that. If you like it, somebody else is going to like it. And probably a lot of other somebody else's.
Somebody's. Yeah.
That's right. And so I think the most important thing is to keep positive, because if you love it, somebody else is going to love it. And if you can write something that when you reread it, it makes you laugh or makes you cry, your own writing, then doggone well, somebody else out there is going to be laughing or crying.
Or terrifies you.
Or terrified, whichever.
Whatever emotion you were going through.
Whatever the emotion is, yes.
Yeah, Chris Chrisman said, never stop writing.
Never stop writing.
And he said, marketing is extremely hard, as I'm trying to learn that side of it. It is very hard. It goes against the grain of who authors are, is to, push themselves out.
It's a bottomless pit, too.
It is, too. It's never ending. Joe Conjal said, great show tonight. Lots of fun. Thanks, CW. And, of course, Robin Joan. And you are welcome.
Well, thank you, everybody in the audience tonight.
Yes, you've been a great audience.
Thank you, CW, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for the
long
invite.
overdue, actually.
Well, thank you for the invite. I loved being here. It was great. You guys are fantastic, and
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad that you're in the Magnolia Bluff family.
I know,
Yeah.
it's really fun.
Exciting.
Really happy.
Lizette Brody said, great show. Thank you all. Thank you, Lizette. Congratulations, Rob and Joan. New book deal. Also another wonderful show. You're the best. Thanks, CW. Thank you, Paul. You know you're the best. Richard Swin said, lots of fun tonight. It has been a really fun show, and we've had so much time. I just love all of our authors.
Yeah. CW, we're going to move you over to the side
Sure.
here.
Yep.
Don't go away. You stay right where you're at until we come back to you now. Okay. And let's see here. Next week, we've got a pre-recorded new episode, everybody. It's Jeffrey Marshall, suspense and political fiction author. Had a really good visit with Jeffrey. And that's next 1 week from tonight, right here where you're watching right now.
And then the next
night on the 26th is Haunted Campfire Tales, live streaming for the first time ever. And our guests are going to be Joy York and Robin Madrich, and maybe some more guests.
Yeah.
We've got some other
Yeah,
people.
email us if you've got a true story.
If you have a true, something happened to you with a ghost.
Doesn't need to be long, just a couple of minutes.
Just has to be true.
Yeah.
And we'll watch our post. We'll have it out there where it's going to be and how to get there and all that. So, and then 2 weeks from tonight, we're going to have the next Magnolia Bluff.
Linda Pirtle
and
Cindy Davis.
Cindy Davis, book 10 and 11. And that'll be episode 9.
Actually, book 1 and 2 of the second season,
Yeah.
but 10 and 11 in the whole series.
In the whole series. Yeah. So, gosh, this has been a nice show.
It's great.
Really enjoyed
I
it.
hate attend.
Yeah, really, right? So let's see here. Where are we at? I guess until next time.
That's all, folks.
Live every Wednesday, your Voice of Indie hosts Beam Weeks and Stephen G's welcome authors, musicians, publishing industry pros, artists, and assorted creative guests for an exciting interactive hour. Call in during the show or post questions and comments on Twitter for responses in real time. Meet your favorite indie creators, learn inside tips, network, and promote your work. The link for each week's show is pinned on Twitter atop @VoiceOfIndie. And you can receive the link every Wednesday morning in your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter at freshinkgroup.com. Check out Voice of Indie every Wednesday on Blog Talk Radio and catch hundreds of episodes archived everywhere from our websites to our YouTube channel and Spotify.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DV.com.